We all knew it was so transparently false that no charges would ever be brought, but as time went on, we always thought that nothing would ever come of this, particularly after going to Sergeant Gottlieb and the DNA test came back and they said, there's no match, and as we expected. And as time wore on, we realized Mr. Nifong said that they were going to do things the old-fashioned way. And to us, I've never had to deal with the court system before, and I didn't know what the old-fashioned way was. But as he pressed forward, everyone started to get, this is really going to happen to us. Something is going to happen, and we assumed that it would be, she said it was 3 people, and 3 people lived in the house, and there were 3 seniors, and we assumed, okay, it'll probably be the 3 guys, and it's a terrible tragedy that it's going to happen to those 3, but this is how they're conducting this. They're just going to do, it makes the most sense that there's 3 people and there's 3 people who live in a house, so that's who they're going to charge. And to be completely honest with you, I never thought in a million years that I would ever be a suspect. And I was being told that, there's no way. I wasn't even listed as having been at the party. And in my mind, it could never be me. I left the party. The police probably don't even want to talk to me. I have nothing to say. And as time went on, we realized that indictments really were going to come down.
Had you ever had any problems or criminal issues in the past?
No, sir.
When did you learn that you would be indicted?
I believe it was April 14th. April 14th it was. It was my mom's birthday. I was sitting in a room with Julian Mack. Am I correct on that date? I'm sorry, I'm really bad with dates.
The indictment was the 17th.
17th, excuse me. I'm sorry. It was my mom's birthday, April 17th. I apologize. And I was sitting in a room with Julian Mack, and they said indictments were going to come down. And I remember it. I remember exactly where I was sitting. I was actually, believe it or not, I was watching the movie Capote, and I was sitting in a room with Rob Wellington and Jay Jennison. Jay Jennison was my roommate, and Mr. Jennison and my father were there. And they said, Julian had come in and said 2 indictments were handed down, but they're sealed. And I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't think that had any bearing on me. So, and they said they weren't going to release who it was. So it was sort of a difficult situation because you sort of wanted to know who it was, and just that extra. Okay, it's not me. I just want to make sure. I hope it's not me. I feel terrible for whoever it is, but I hope it's not me. So Rob Wellington and Jay Jennison leave, and they walk out, and I sat down with Julian, and we were just discussing, payment issues, and we just sort of talking, joking around, and he's sitting across the table from me, and all of a sudden, his secretary comes in and says, "Julian, Mike Nifong's on the phone." And my first reaction was, oh my God, it's one of those 2. And he picks up the phone, and he briefly glances up at me, and you could see, his face, the coloring in his face was changing. And my dad and I just sort of stared at each other. And you get that feeling in your stomach, that pit, and you don't even know what to do. You don't want to believe it, but you want to know. And he asked us to stand in the other room. There was a conference room, and we're standing in there, and we're just circling, and we're like, the room felt like it was spinning. And Julian comes in and says, "She picked you." And my dad just fell to the floor, and I just sat on the ground, and I said, my life is over. And then we finally got up, and me and my dad were hugging each other, and Julian didn't even know what to say. And the first thing I thought about was, how am I going to tell my mom? And right away, my dad, he said he had to go out and we had to start, putting together alibi information, because we never thought it was ever going to be me, so I never worried about it. And a couple hours later, I had to call Father Luke, who was the headmaster of my school, and I told him that he was going to have to be by my mom when I called her. So he started walking down to her, and I got on the phone, and my mom was at my brother's lacrosse games, and I said, Mom, are you alone right now? She said, yeah. What's going on? I said, she picked me. And I could hear her on the other end of the phone. The life was sucked right out of her. And then I tried to calm her down, and I just told her everything was going to be all right, and that we were going to prove that this didn't happen. And she didn't need me to tell her that. But from that point on, we had to go from there that night. We were told that we couldn't tell anybody, because if it got out to the press, Mr. Nifong, Mr. Nifong wanted to come and take us out of class and arrest us. And if it had gotten out, we weren't going to get the privilege. We were told that we have to go turn ourselves in for something that we didn't do. And I had to go back to Duke, gather some of my stuff. I had to put a smile on my face because my roommate was in my room at the time, and his girlfriend was in the room, and I had to, joke around with them and pretend everything was okay. And my girlfriend would be calling me all day, and she wanted to know who it was, and I never called her because I was told I wasn't allowed. And I had to go walk into. She was sitting in a friend's room in a dorm room, and initially she was angry at me. Why didn't you call me? What have you been doing all day? I've been so worried. And I had to take her outside, and I remember she was wrapped up in a blanket, and I had to tell her, I said, she picked me, and she just collapsed. And I literally had to carry my girlfriend, and it was a long walk from one of the quads all the way down to my dad's car, and put her in the car, and then my dad and I, he drove to a hotel, and the next morning we had to turn ourselves in.